Hello, and welcome back to the Empower Her podcast. Guess what, everyone? You can now watch the podcast on YouTube. So if you wanted to see my pretty face while I'm talking to you and doing the episode, then head over to YouTube and I'm going to start posting all of the podcast episodes on here, which just means now I need to actually start wearing makeup when I podcast, but it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes I also watch podcasts on YouTube. So I also wanted to be on there. So I'm super excited about that. I'll link it in the show notes. So today's episode is going to be a little bit more personal. It is going to relate, of course, to everyone. I think a lot of people struggle with this, but I was just thinking of, what episode to do, and something came to mind of something that I've really struggled with and really gotten over the hump, thankfully. But I find that a lot of, especially women, especially neurodivergent women, really struggle with this. And that's the idea of success and what success means. And this has been a big struggle for me of what success means, the definition of it, how I relate to success, what that looks like in my life. So many of my clients struggle with this, and I just really felt like we needed to talk about this topic. So it's going to be a little bit more personal today. So hopefully you'll still enjoy it, but I think it'll be really, really helpful either way. So as we know, success as a society for women is making money, getting married, having kids, being more submissive, feminine, and just doing it all at the end of the day. That's what society says is successful for women. Okay? It's very linear, it's very restrictive, and it doesn't take into account women who want to do things differently, who don't want to have kids and get married, who maybe don't want to make a lot of money or do want to make a lot of money and just focus on their career. It doesn't take into consideration that maybe we don't want to do things the way we've been told to do things. It's just not, right? At the end of the day, and we could get into the patriarchy, but that's a whole other topic. But it really is society that has told us and molded us into thinking of success as a certain thing, right? And to me, I always thought success was what everyone else was telling me. But at the end of the day, success shouldn't be determined by anyone else other than you. And that's a really hard concept to digest. I couldn't digest it either, right? I thought success to me was having a high paying job and being a good girlfriend to my future husband. That's what I thought it meant, right? When I was 21, I met my then boyfriend. We're no longer together. He was 10 years older than me. He was almost 31 when we met. I was 21. Then at 22, I got my first big girl corporate job. I was making a really good amount of money back then considering. And over the next 4 years in corporate, I was promoted 3 times. I was moving up the corporate ladder. I started to work longer hours. I managed teams of up to 21, and I was doing the most while still in this relationship, right? And then when I got home from work, doing all this work, I was expected to clean, cook, tend to my boyfriend, who, by the way, went to work, came home, and then sat on the couch with his glass of wine and watched TV while I was doing the cooking and the cleaning, right? And I mean, that's a whole other slew of issues, but I didn't have a concept of what it meant to be successful. I thought that's what success was, right? I was doing it all. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she did everything at home. And so I was like, okay, I need to do everything at home and I can do it better than he can, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When really I was also going to work and working a full-time job. I was making more money than he was at the time, even so, right? And, I felt like, oh, I have a man who loves me. I make good money. What else do I need, right? I would go hang out with his friends. We talked about our future. I was supposed to be happy, right? Everything on paper was in order. Well, I wasn't happy. I was not. And after 4 years together, we were together for 4 years. We lived together for 2 years. I ended my relationship with him. And let me tell you, everyone, my grandparents, my friends, his friends, everyone was shocked that I made that decision. He was devastated. He didn't understand, despite me telling him multiple, multiple times I was unhappy, that I felt like the division of labor at home was unfair. There was just a lot of things that were unfair. I voiced those concerns, and I felt like I wasn't being heard. And everyone around me was surprised when we broke up, because it wasn't like we had a fight. It wasn't like he cheated on me, nothing like that. But I wasn't happy because this definition of success that I thought was successful wasn't actually my definition of success, wasn't actually what makes me happy, right? And I didn't want to live that life. If we stayed together, this was 10 years ago that I met him. If we stayed together, I would probably still be at the same company. I'd probably be married with a baby and probably even more unhappy. Not because of my baby, obviously, but just because I was in a situation that wasn't making me happy, right? And that wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't what success looked like to me. So we ended our relationship in 2018 after 4 years. And then it took me a little longer to leave corporate. I didn't leave till 2022, but I had started to think about it 2 years before then. I started getting my coaching certification. I started working freelance. So I was building up to leaving. And in 2022, I finally, after a lot of thinking, a lot of thinking, right? I decided to quit my corporate job. And again, just like when I broke up with my ex, everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, you make good money, you have a good job, it's quote unquote cushiony. I got to work from home, especially after the pandemic. We were at home full time. I worked a 9 to 5. I wasn't, I wasn't, according to them, I wasn't burned out. I was burned out, but I shouldn't have been burnt out. This idea of success was what they set up for me. I was supposed to have everything, right? But I still wasn't happy. And that's why I left. I didn't feel successful, even though on paper it looked like I was successful. It looked like I was, right? And since then, now we're in 2024. It's been 6 years since I ended that relationship and 2 years since I left corporate, and I have never been happier. Never been happier. I started my own coaching business where I work from home. I have flexible hours and scheduling. I help high achieving neurodivergent women thrive in their work. And after some time being single, I was single. I had another relationship after. It was quite toxic. It just, it wasn't right. I was single for about 2 years. I really understood myself. I went to therapy. I dated. I just enjoyed being single. I was finally able, or I didn't expect it, but I met someone. I met the person that I'm now with that I'm going to, plan to spend my life with. And he embraces every single part of who I am. And he loves me for that. He didn't try to change me. He didn't try to make me do things I didn't want to do, right? In my past relationship, I felt like I was meant to play this role of this woman who's like the homemaker and doing everything at home and going to work and doing all things because that's what he saw his mom do. But that wasn't making me happy. And now I'm with someone who understands and appreciates me for who I am, and we can have open communication about that. And I've never been happier, right? I finally feel seen and understood, and I'm supported in my career ambitions because I wasn't supported in my career ambitions in my other relationship. Yeah, it was great that I was making money, but then it was also complaining that why was I working 10, 12-hour days and not coming home earlier and spending time with him, etc. I'm like, well, who's going to pay for the vacations we're going on, right? But I still had to come home and then do the dishes and cook and whatever. So it just wasn't making me happy, right? And the thing is in my 20s, I always, if you ask my friends, I said, I am not going to get married. I'm not going to get married. I always knew I wanted to have kids, but I'm not going to get married. My parents divorced when I was 20. It was quite traumatic for me. I always said I wasn't going to get married. And I was also very much, especially after that last relationship that I was with for 4 years, I said, oh no, I'm not getting married. A guy's just going to tie me down. I'm not going to be a housewife and go to work and do all these things. It's so unfair, the division of labor. I'm never going to get married. Like, that's what I was saying. And now that I'm in my 30s, I feel completely different about it because I've healed myself. I've understand what I really want. And I realize that I do want to get married. I do want to have kids, but not in the way that everyone else says, right? I'm 31 and people keep asking me when I'm getting married and having kids. I probably won't be a mom until my mid to late 30s. And I'm totally fine with that because to me, that's what success means because I have other focuses right now that I want to focus on. And I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always known I've wanted to be a mom. I've dreamt with my baby. If you believe in like spirit babies and talking to your baby, I have talked to mine. I know she's coming to me. We've chatted, but I'm not going to do that when everyone else wants me to, right? I always thought, oh, you have to have kids by the time you're 30 and married. No, that's not happening. Well, we're already past that, but it wasn't going to happen anyways. I always said that. I needed to do things on my terms and when I felt comfortable, because that was what success meant to me, and not doing things based on what other people are telling me to do or what other people want me to do. That's not what I would consider successful. So that was something that I really had to come to terms with, and something that I really, really needed to work on. And I have so many clients that feel this way, whether it's about a certain job that they need to have, whether it's about a certain relationship they need to be in. They feel like success is being pushed on them. And when I work with them, I'm like, let's look at things from a neutral, beginner's mindset perspective. We do not need to bring that negative energy in, and let's think about what you actually want, what makes you happy. And oftentimes it's different than what they had been doing, because no one's ever given them permission to do things differently, right? So I always ask them, what is it that truly makes you happy? Is it truly that job that's going to be your dream job? I just had a client that I talked to, and she said, oh my God, this job is like my dream job. I need to apply, right? And I asked her, I said, okay, the job duties, yes, those are great. The title, great. The company, great. And I said, okay, but does it have the work-life balance you want? She said, no. And I was like, okay, well then is it really a dream job? And she looked at me and she was like, oh my gosh, then it's not. We're so programmed to think certain things are successful, certain things mean success, that we don't even know when something isn't right for us, because that's what society tells us. That's what our parents have told us. That's what, our bosses told us, whatever it is. But that is not successful unless you really truly believe it is successful, right? Because at the end of the day, success comes from within. It's not external. We're taught that success is external, that other people determine what success is. Wearing a Van Cleef bracelet or getting your diamond engagement ring from Tiffany's, those are status symbols of successful. That's not successful to me. That's not what is to me. For me, success is being able to travel. For me, success is being in a relationship where we don't fight every day and I have freedom to do what I want. For me, success is having a business where I can work flexibly, right? That's what success means to me. And maybe to you, success is something totally different. Maybe it's working a 9 to 5 and having a stable job and making a certain income every year plus a bonus, and you're super happy with that, right? Maybe that's successful to you. It is different for everyone. We are not here to tell other people what success is. That's why, as a coach, I never tell my clients what success looks like. They tell me what their success looks like. I just help them get to a place where they can identify what that is. But at the end of the day, I'm not telling them what it is. They are going to decide what success looks like, because again, it comes from inside, not externally. So this is easier said than done, especially when you've been programmed to feel or think things a certain way. So I really encourage you to explore the meaning of success. A couple ways that you can do this depending on what works for you. Journaling is really great. You can do a journal prompt of like what success looks like to me. You can even be more specific of like, if you lived in a bubble, what would your ideal, family situation be? What's the ideal city you would live in, right? Like whatever that looks like to you, you can do an even more specific journal prompt on that. You can also do a meditation or visualizations. You can do this guided, not guided. Meditation's great. It's really just quieting the mind. You can go into it making an intention of like, in this meditation, my intention is that I can see the future version of myself in my ideal job, for example, and you meditate on it. Same with visualization. You can visualize something specific. It's sort of like a meditation and visualization in one. I also really like hypnosis is great for this, but definitely go online, make sure you find someone or a video that's really great, reputable, because you don't want to do just something random. But there's so many great meditations and visualizations on YouTube everywhere. So definitely look it up and really try to think on this. Do this once a week, twice a week, maybe every morning you do it for 5 minutes. It might not come to you right away. So just beware that that's okay. But take some time to really think about, visualize, meditate on, journal on what success looks like to you, especially if you feel burnt out, you feel unhappy, you feel like something's missing or not right. That's a sign to yourself that you really need to reevaluate what success looks like. You really need to reevaluate what actually success means to you. So definitely try that and see how it goes. And again, just take one small step. Just do it for 5 minutes this week. You don't need to go all out and start meditating for 2 hours. That's not what I'm saying. Just journal for 5 minutes. Just meditate for 5 minutes and see what comes up, and write things down. Even if you meditate, visualize, make sure you write it down after, and just keep taking a note of what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Walking is a really good place to go if you want to walk and set an intention before that you're going to start to think of things. I get such good ideas when I'm walking, like it's amazing. So try one of those, see how it works, and really try to identify what success means and looks like to you, because that's what's really, really important. So, again, a little bit more personal episode, but I hope that this was helpful. And of course, let me know if you have any feedback. I'd love to hear it. And just a reminder that I have one-to-one coaching open. I have a 3-month container, which is perfect for clients that want to work with me, sort of, and get that one-to-one support. So we can have 2 or 4 calls a month. Plus, you get access to me Monday through Friday to chat with you in an email or through chat with any questions you have, reading your documents, looking over all that stuff, etc. And when you apply, before you pay or do anything, we can have a 20-minute call, complimentary, so we can get to know each other and make sure we're a great fit together. So that's also a good bonus to have as well. I'm going to link it in the show notes, and on social media, you can always find me as well. So I hope this episode was helpful. Have an amazing week, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next episode.